What is going on, everybody? Xaenca here, back once again with another dose of toxic masculinity for you, or so they say. Quick word of thanks to everybody who supported the last video. You guys are incredible. Same to the NPCs who came just to dislike the video. Thanks for the views and for boosting my user engagement metrics. I do appreciate it. As always, links to the previous videos are in the description down below if you did happen to miss them, and if you do end up enjoying this video, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more content. Well, here we are, second weekend of Captain Marvel at the box office. And according to the estimates put out by Box Office Mojo today, Captain Marvel just passed 760 million worldwide. You like that? Had to make it sound more dramatic, you know what I mean? But based on these numbers, it looks to have passed that deadline. It needs to make 750 million to break even, thing that happened a few days ago. Captain Marvel will pass break even in the theatrical window by the end of the week with 750 million worldwide. Now, that could mean that the break even point was 750 million, or it was just a badly worded sentence and the break even point was on the way to 750 million from the 400 million point it was at the time of writing. Either way, Captain Marvel is now officially rolling in the dough, or making money, whatever you want to call it. So from what I said in the last video, I guess having nothing else to compete with won over a lack of word of mouth, basically. Now, I'm just gonna address this now because I've never addressed it, but it's actually alarming to me how many SJWs post in the comments, like they'll post the numbers, right? So today, for instance, they post, the movie just made 760 million globally, but you're so butthurt you can't even sit down right now. Which begs the question, do you actually think I have some personal stake as to whether this movie does well or not? Obviously, if the movie bombed, I would find that fucking hilarious, but Captain Marvel can make $10 billion, and it would still just be a piece of shit movie to me. Just a few more things to address from the last video. Some people commented along the lines of, do you really think that one movie would move the stock prices up or down at all? Yes, whether it affects it immediately or at the earnings call, it's going to affect it. Movies cost hundreds of millions of dollars to make, then hundreds of millions of dollars more to market, leading to the hopes of hundreds of millions up to the billions worth in profit. If you think that has no bearing on a stock's value, you are out of your goddamn mind. Like I said, either directly or at the earnings call, it's going to affect the stock price, so look it up. It's not really difficult to find a correlation between the two, and if you need a smaller thing to compare to understand the gravity of the situation, video games like AAA video games cost an average of $50 to $60 million to make, which is roughly 1/2 or 1/3 of a Hollywood movie's production cost. And then look how individual AAA video game releases have drastically affected the stocks over the past few years. And then there were people who were saying it would not be illegal if Disney bought their own tickets, or if they falsified the numbers. First of all, you're crazy, but let's play your game. After looking into it, a lot of information suggests that movie studios make 90% and some even suggest all of the money from ticket sales, at least for the first couple of months when movies are released in the theaters. Now, if it weren't illegal, why in the hell wouldn't every single production company do it? Why would there still be unsuccessful opening weekends? Every single movie release would be the greatest movie of all time then, right? That would mean that when Shazam comes out in April, all Warner Brothers really has to do is throw $260 million at them. It will cost them $0 up to $26 million to have the most successful opening weekend of all time, when that $26 million is literally nothing when it costs them hundreds of millions of dollars to market these movies worldwide. Could you imagine that? Shazam beats out Infinity War for greatest opening weekend of all time. Take that in, process it for a little bit, and then let me know whether you still think it's not illegal for them to do that. And then lastly, everybody who said that they had proof of some sort that yes, Disney did do it, I have proof. Dude, the SEC has a whistleblower program. All you have to do is Google SEC submit a tip, go on there, and if you submit the tip and they do investigate and they find any kind of wrongdoing, you could be entitled to an award of the damages up to the millions. So all of you people with proof could be potential millionaires. Just go on there and do something about what you're talking about. I, on the other hand, got nothing, so I have no proof. Now that all of that is out of the way, I'm not going to do a reaction because everybody's seen the goddamn trailer by now, but let's talk about the Endgame trailer just for a little bit. Now, I have to say that trailer was really well done. It really gave me the feels when they were going into their monologues and all of that business. Each one, every person that talked really pulled at my heartstrings a little bit. Tony Stark's voice breaking as he's saying he was hoping to pull out one more surprise. Steve Rogers saying that he keeps telling everybody that they should move on, and most of them do, but not them. It was good, man. It was good. You really felt for their struggle so far. We got a teaser for Kate Bishop. Basically, Hawkeye is teaching a young girl to shoot a bow and arrow. For those that don't know, Kate Bishop basically assumes the Hawkeye mantle as Clint Barton becomes a broken soul after the tragic loss of his family. This causes him to assume the Ronin identity. Basically, he goes on a warpath because of what happened. This can be seen in the trailer where Clint is rocking a mohawk now. He has a katana instead of a bow and arrow. So in the comics, his family was murdered. He goes on a path of vengeance to avenge his family, basically. In the MCU, it's easy to assume that the Thanos snap killed his family. So the effects are exactly the same, just the target is different. In this case, Thanos murdered his family and he's gonna go on a path of vengeance towards Thanos. I actually think it's really clever of them to find a way to incorporate that storyline while changing the methodology of how they got there a little bit. But yeah, Clint Barton is back as Ronin. That's pretty cool. A lot of people were complaining about the black and white. I didn't mind it. I mean, for me, it's a little bit odd seeing black and white in HD, but the black, white, and red was definitely an interesting aesthetic. I mean, it's kind of like what you saw in Sin City, right? They did that a little bit with the reds and incorporated with the black and white. I think it's alright. Now, of course, there was this minor, I don't know if you would call it a spoiler really, but spoiler alert just in case. I mean, spoiler alert. But in the previous, kind of teaser trailers that they did when they showed, the Avengers walking in their white quantum suits, you know what I'm talking about, that matching outfit thing that they wear. So the previous trailers basically edited out Tony Stark, Nebula, and Ronin. In this trailer, they didn't edit them out anymore. Basically, Ronin, Tony Stark, and Nebula are walking side by side with everybody else. Now, I don't really know if this is a spoiler, but the previous trailers were kind of trying to insinuate that Tony and Nebula did not make it back in time or whatever. But alas, in this trailer, it looks like they did. So, hey, whatever. I mean, I kind of just personally expected them to make it back because Nebula is an essential character to the Infinity War storyline, so I'm just saying. Now, what was pointed out in the last teaser trailer was that, oh, Captain Marvel's not walking along them side by side, and it's the same thing in this trailer. She is not walking along them side by side with a quantum suit on. Now, they could have edited her out, maybe, because they were waiting until the end reveal in this trailer where they finally show Captain Marvel meeting Thor.
I like this one.
Yep, she still has that same block of wood expression on her face. Now, I'm not gonna lie, this was also my very first thought when I watched this, but young Rippa happened to say it before I did, so I'm just gonna let him take it away.
But, of course, they had to end with this stare down between Thor and Carol Danvers with him summoning his hammer right by her ear and then saying that he liked her. You might be the only one, Thor. But I was hoping that the damn thing hit her in the back of the head so we wouldn't have to deal with her ass for the rest of the movie.
That's exactly what I was thinking. I was like, dude, you just had to move your hand a little bit to the left, man. But I love Young Rippa 59's videos. You should check them out. He's very, very knowledgeable about the comics and all of that business. Now, obviously, the funniest thing to come out of this whole Endgame trailer Captain Marvel reveal is that the SJW Brie Larson fans are pissed off. Pissed off at the Russo brothers for how they did Captain Marvel wrong in this trailer. How, might you ask? She's wearing makeup. You've gotta be fucking kidding me, dude. This is one example. One thing that is bugging the F out of me is Carol wearing red lipstick. What? How? Why? Literally F the Russo brothers. And this is just one example. You just have to search Endgame makeup on Twitter and you'll find a literal treasure trove of people losing their goddamn minds because Carol Danvers is wearing makeup in the Endgame trailer. And all I have to say to that is, serves you right, Disney. That's what happens when you try to cater to these people. We've seen it time and time again that when you give them a slice of the cake, they want the whole cake. When you give them the whole cake, they want the whole goddamn bakery. SJWs, man, they're out of their goddamn minds, I'm telling you. And the last thing we're gonna talk about is the whole James Gunn is back for Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Now, I never talked about this before. I mean, I only really started talking about this kind of nonsense recently. But I'm personally not for this whole idea that we should go around digging up things that people said from years and years ago and hold it against them now. I don't think Kevin Hart should have had to bow out from the Oscars. I don't think that James Gunn should have been fired for his tweets. we need to understand that times change. Like, things that were acceptable to say like 20 years ago make pussies all sensitive and cry over about now. Looking at his tweets, I mean, it's really difficult to look at them and think that they're anything other than jokes. They're not jokes, they're statements. Yes, I've heard that argument as well. Not all jokes need to have a setup and a punchline. But some of those tweets actually did have a setup and a punchline, like the Giving Tree one was a classic setup punchline joke. Now, I didn't personally find any of the jokes funny. I'm not the target demographic, I guess, for the jokes. I don't know who would be that would find those jokes funny, especially when I'm the type of person that if I could, I would just throw all the pedos to a fire, you know what I mean? But that's just me. But just because they're not funny to me doesn't mean I cannot recognize that they're actually jokes. And the most egregious ones were really that retweet prank where he's basically trying to insinuate that somebody else tweeted that out and he's just retweeting what they said. And really, when I showed it to my friends who don't know anything about this situation or how he was fired or anything like that, they looked at the tweets and they're just like, man, they're clearly jokes. They're not funny, but they're jokes. So no, I never thought that he should have been fired, but I understand why he was. A lot of people are saying that he was never really fired because they never even tried to look for another director, but then again, didn't James Gunn have the full support of the cast and crew of Guardians of the Galaxy? Like, Chris Pratt put that thing out where all of the cast members signed it. Zoe Saldana, Dave Bautista, so on and so forth. And I could be wrong here. I'm really trying to just draw from memory from, it was a year ago, right? But didn't Bautista say that he would not be on board if it wasn't James Gunn? So there would have to be recasts as well as finding a new director. It's just a mess without James Gunn on board, you know what I mean? So maybe they didn't look for another director because they were just like, man, it's just too much of a pain in the ass with all the cast vocally against it. It's really bad for PR. But then at the same time, maybe they didn't find another director because they really never fired James Gunn to begin with. I don't know. He's a great screenwriter. He's a great director. That new Suicide Squad's probably going to be amazing with him at the helm of that thing. DC definitely did not waste any time at all at recognizing that talent, so they brought him on board immediately. But when he's done with that, he can come back to direct Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Great screenwriter, great director. I wouldn't say terrible sense of humor because he does write like the jokes for Guardians of the Galaxy as well, right? Just parts of his sense of humor are out of whack. But what do you guys think? Let me know down in the comments below. If you did end up enjoying this video, make sure to hit that like button and share it with your friends, family, whoever you think would be interested in nonsense like this. And subscribe, ring that notification bell, click that always so you can be alerted every time I put out another one of these strawberry pancakes. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you guys next time.